Running Sentences presents Work, Work, and More Work. Part 3. And so, work continues. The three workers do their best to keep things flowing and working as they should, all while getting burdened with other affairs and things that the company wants them to concentrate on. This story is written and narrated by Michael Honore. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events, and so on is purely coincidental. Copyright 2025, Michael Honore. All rights reserved. Instead of going to his usual spot in the meeting room, Bruno went to his little private office he'd been assigned to before all of this had happened. It was in the development labs, away from the hustle and bustle of other places. A few of his former co-workers looked up in surprise when they saw him strolling through this office, and he even picked up on one who was following him, all the way to his office. "Peter, what do you want?" "To know what's going on, Bruno. I mean, you don't usually come around here anymore." "You have to explain what you mean by that, since that is a vague question." "Well, there are rumors about you being placed in an important position within the company. They say you have all the power now, and yet you're here, Bruno." "That is all false. I'm working towards helping out the company. I don't really know anything more than that." What exactly are you doing?" "What I've always done, Peter. Improve the company by working extra hard to make sure it is the best." "Oh, and that is all you're doing?" "Literally, yes, Peter. That is my job right now." Bruno said this without turning around and just kept going towards his office. "But why? You're doing such great research and helping development and stuff," Peter said. "They needed someone they trusted to lead this charge. Since I'm their go-to guy, I got picked. I don't know why else they would have done it, Peter." "Yeah, but you aren't known as the leader of any groups." Bruno then looks over his shoulder, trying to keep an even look and not get angry at the man. It was not easy, since he considered this Peter to be a fool of a person, and it was best he had generally a lot to deal with. Best to power through it, though, and prove to the bosses he was smart enough to be trusted. "That's just what you think personally. I take no stock in it, since I've been put into the position in the first place. Now, is there something else I can do for you, or do some work for you, or what do you want?" Bruno said, trying to hide his annoyance. "I was merely pointing it all out." "No, Peter, you were trying to make yourself feel better. That is not helpful right now." "Fine, I'll tell you what. Your old boss wanted to speak to you if you ever came here again." "Ah, news I can actually act and talk about. What do they want?" "Something about a project you left being incomplete. I don't know, Bruno. Go ask them." "Oh, that's because I got dragged away to do something else in the middle of that project. I didn't have much choice in the matter." "Don't tell me that, Bruno. I'm not your messenger. Just go tell the boss." "No, Peter, you're not, and I wasn't asking you to be one." "Then why are you telling me? Go tell the boss that you've this excuse." "I was merely saying it out loud. Now, if you don't mind, I have work to do. Please leave." His co-workers shook their head no, but backed away as Bruno was now at his office and getting inside it. Soon he was gone, and Bruno did what he did best: organize paper and get things in order, which they needed to be. If he was going to succeed at this new operation, then he needed those skills to help him out. After getting some work done, and he made sure that the rest of the staff, his staff, were in and working on their jobs, he went over to his boss's office. It was much like the rest of this department, which felt tucked away in a far-off corner where people could only see it if they knew about it and needed it. Jacob, his old boss, was a fat man in a suit that barely did its job, much like him, and he was sitting in his office at the chair that creaked and groaned with each movement. Jacob, I heard you wanted to talk to me.
Bruno.
Yes, I've been waiting for you to come running back here. Then we will discuss some matters of great importance.
About the Alpha Project, you mean?
Among many things, yes.
Well, there's nothing to talk about. My end of the project was done. I needed to hand it off to other people, but it was done. The man sits forward in his chair, causing it to loudly squeak and groan in protest.
You left it early and incomplete according to reports from the project manager. I cannot have such things occurring since it looks badly on me and my staff.
Well, just take it up with higher-ups then.
You think I haven't done that, Bruno? You believe I'm that bad of a boss that I wouldn't talk to people about my issues with staffing?
For the moment, Bruno was left rather unable to figure out what to say. No one had spoken to him this way, at least since he'd annoyed his mom many, many years ago about complaining that he couldn't have a chocolate bar that he'd really actually wanted. Yes, I think you're a bad boss, and now I can clearly say that since I'm not working under you, and you have no idea what you're doing to your own detriment and department.
You shouldn't insult those that can help you. Now I need some information.
You're going to ignore my insults, Jacob?
I've been around this job long enough, knowing that there are few fights worth getting into. Honey attracts more prey than acidic stuff. It's why you will never make a good boss, despite your prodigy status amongst the bosses.
Good to fucking know. Now, what information are you seeking about my former project?
Jacob continued to lean forward so that he was leaning against his desk and while sitting on his chair, both not liking the fact that he was doing this. A bunch of data went missing on how two objects are interacting with one another. It's vital as both of those components are touching in our little device, our little creation that powers things.
I don't know anything about that. You're implying that I should know what's happened to it or that I'm involved in its disappearance?
You, Mr. Bruno, were the last one to be in contact with the computer before that data went missing, so I'm here to ask you about it.
Bruno shook his head no. If I had any information, I might be able to tell you, but since you're being relatively nice about all of this, but I don't know anything about it.
It's a bad idea to lie about what you claim not to know. We have you on security camera going to that computer and deleting files, Mr. Bruno.
This is stupid. I never did that, and I don't know why you would claim I did.
Jacobs offers a leisurely shrug of sure and grins.
Yes, I'm sure that's all there is to that. Be on the lookout, though, as others are looking into the matter, and they won't be as easily swayed away from it as I am. Not that I completely believe either your story or the fact that it's happened. It's just simpler to let things play out and work through everything and find out where things lie afterward. Lindsay and Jess sat at the long table in the meeting room, both doing their jobs, looking at a piece of paper to see if it contained any information about how one would go about improving companies. Most of the time, the paper was then discarded to the side as useless for containing only a sentence or two on the matter.
This is a waste of time,
Jess announced.
Faster to do it on the internet, you mean, Jess?
I'm not sure on that front, since we'd have to find it first and then read about it, which also raises a point in my mind.
Why do they have us reading stuff that they've already found? They can already know what's on this.
She paused a moment, looking up from her latest article, and rubbed her tired eyes. A few seconds pass, and then a few more as Lindsay takes her time, trying to decide what to say to that. You mean we're being given busy work? It would appear so, don't you think? After all the big bosses told us, we're being given
Busy work.
It's obvious by now, yes. I've pointed this out before. You may have, but it doesn't make it believable. The door opened and in came a tired-looking Bruno, who ignored them as he went to the head of the table and plopped down to a seat in front of his usual seat. They waited a moment more before speaking up. Where have you been, boss? Working at my old station where I thought I could get some nice quiet work done, Lindsay. You didn't get to it? No, I did some, but my old boss kept insisting I'd done something I hadn't, so now I have to run away from there. This sounds better than listening to Jess as he talks about how we're just doing business work for the 9th time already. So what happened?
It is important to know what the company thinks of us, Lindsay.
And what it is it has us doing. If we can't figure that out, then how can we know how much effort to put into all of this?
Just complained.
Bruno spoke up at that point. The CEO wouldn't do that, Jess, not when she specifically ordered this project to commence. But what if our bosses are working behind the scenes to undermine things? They don't like the CEO or whatever. What then, Bruno? You believe that we're in some sort of conspiracy to allow one of the other bigwigs to take over? Offering a shrug to Lindsay's comment, Jess sits back in his chair, letting them think about things. Lindsay wasn't sure it was possible, but maybe she wasn't paying close enough attention to things. This is how most big businesses operate, you two. They're always looking to take that next big thing, and sometimes that means you try and take something out that's in the way. Alright, fine. That isn't our concern, yes. It should be. If we're caught in the middle of a situation and we have expectations from either side about what we're supposed to be doing, we could face the chop instead of them. So, a rock and a hard place where we can do nothing and no one is going to do anything for us. Let's just get this work done and move on then. We already have a direct connection to the CEO after all. We'll just take it to them and drop everything off.
I'm actually with Lindsay on this.
Get the work done and worry about the rest of the problems later. Okay, fine. It was a mere warning from someone who's seen a lot and knows the ins and outs of this. Despite not liking the work, Jess. I never said I didn't like the work, but most of it, like this stuff, is busy work. It serves no purpose other than to have people who can fire should things start looking bad on the financials.
If you're so concerned, take it up with Miss Barley, our great leader at this company, and tell her all your problems.
She would have no reason to believe me, Bruno, and I potentially lose my job as a result. As much as I don't really mind not working anymore, I do need something to keep
me occupied,
and this is the perfect busy thing.
You are a weird one.
Work, but not actually wanting to work, then complain about how everything is being done and not wanting to work and everything is bad work. Bruno suddenly looks up towards Jess with a curious look on his face. That is exactly what they're doing, isn't it? Yes, you finally realize to an extent they want us to find ways to get workers working and keep them working. But knowing any of the higher-ups isn't going to solve the core problem, Bruno. Jess isn't going to offer any good solutions, even as smart as he sounds at times. No, Lindsay, you never know, unless you ask. With a cheeky grin, Jess had said this, and looked at both of them, who were shaking their heads no. So what's your great solution, then?
Lindsay finally responded.
Hire better bosses, people who care, have a product worth pushing, also take care of the workers. None of the bosses would go for any of those, Jess, and you know it.
Yes, quite the pipe dream you have there, and it would potentially get you
Fired from here, and I can't see why you would want that.
Jess continues to shake his head, seemingly not surprised that they still didn't get it, which Lindsay was really getting annoyed by. You can't see why I would want to work at a nice place that takes care of its workers. I would be working harder at this company if any of that were close to the case. It isn't, so you get my limited efforts.
Enough of this insane conversation.
For now,
We have some reading to do.
get back to it. Quietly, everyone got back to their work. Returning from her lunch, Lindsay was walking through the office lobby when she spotted her former boss, Mr. Fetish, as she liked to refer to him because of the way he looked at people. His real name was Rick Dawn, but barely anyone used that name unless he was right in front of them.
She moved past, waving her pass card at the security guards.
Hoping to get onto the elevator before being noticed. It, however, was far too late, and in an unsurprising fashion, she was now alone with him, while waiting for said elevator.
Miss Lindsay, it is good to see you.
I'm sure it is. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say? I said I'm sure you have something you want to talk about.
He gave her an odd look, but said nothing about what she said.
Yes, I hear you're working on a special project. Yep, it's one I'm not supposed to talk about. Yet, everyone knows about it from all the rumors I've heard, so it can't be that secret.
Mr. Rick said to her.
Good for them for hearing about it. Do you need something? Yes, you should be kind to me so that I can help you out. But I understand that you have heard that I have a certain reputation, unearned by the way, that hangs around me like a noose. Let's get back to how you think you can help me.
Oh, the information you seek about morale. I know where it is. It's towards the back of all of those stacks of papers that you actually have in your hands. I mean, at your office, your meeting room, whatever it is.
What? Lindsay asked this, frozen in surprise and amazement that a simple solution could be right in front of her. The elevator had then dinged, and when its doors opened, Mr. Rick stepped inside as he faced her with a smile, and then the doors simply closed. Pacing about the small break room not far from the meeting room, Bruno couldn't stop himself. There were so many thoughts about what they were doing, and his pace was a purposeful one to help him think and get away from his workers who kept questioning things. How was he supposed to have any answers to things he didn't know? His phone buzzed in his pocket, and at first he wanted to ignore it, but he relented and answered it.
Yes, hello, who is it?
Who do you think? Darling wife. Oh, darling wife, greatest person ever. Is work getting to you?
She replied, cutting off the exhaustive attempts at talking.
Or would you be shocked if I said yes? No. Great. Sorry, I didn't mean to be snappy or cranky earlier. It's just that there's been a lot of things thrown at me lately, and I'm not dealing with it as well as I should. Would you care to talk to me about it, then? I know you try and keep work separate, darling, but it sounds like you want to say at least something about all of this. Come on, Bruno. You can talk to me. Jane, it's my workers. As you know, I was given a project to improve things and, keep questioning the whole matter and the state of this company. Why would you question things?
She inquired.
Well, Jane, one of my workers, a lazy one, is trying to get out of work by saying it's just busy work that we've been given. Yeah, the other one works, but she doesn't seem to be into the work either. It's getting frustrating trying to get everything done. Have you tried connecting with them? What do you mean, darling? Get to know them, give them some incentives to see through whatever this project is.
No, I can't do that.
And why not?
she asked.
They would question me again, and I don't want them to get to know me. There are such things as personal space at work, and I like to keep my personal space.
I see, darling. And if you don't do something, then you risk losing them to the monotony of work. Choose carefully.
Yes, Jane, of course, but, actually, you called me, and it wasn't to hear me complain about work. What did you need?
Your mother called.
Oh, no. Did something happen? She only calls when something is happening and then brings the roof down onto us or something. Fix it for her.
Well, yes and no.
And what does that mean?
She's coming to visit shortly and wants to stay at our house.
Bruno felt his face drain, turning it ashen. If there was one thing he didn't need right now, it was more distractions. And his mother was a catastrophic disaster of one when she wanted to show up in his life, especially when it was unannounced. Jess had, against his better judgment, stayed behind at work for a little bit longer. Namely, he didn't want to deal with Bruno or Lindsay and their accusations of not working hard enough. He put in the required work, but somehow that wasn't good enough for anyone. That was fine for him, though, since this was all just work, and he could turn it all off in the second he stepped out the door, which was now only a few steps away from him, in the building lobby. Mr. Jess Horton. He pauses at the sound of the voice, but doesn't turn around to see who's talking to him. There was a chance of ignoring it, but it felt slim, if not completely gone, since he'd stopped walking. Can I help you? Yes, you're the one who's going to bring my project to fruition and not take any credit for it. Your secret project that everyone is aware of, Miss CEO? Yes, that one. And why would I do that, Miss Barley? I have no good reason to follow those orders. You're the CEO, but you don't get to order me around. If you want to keep your job, then you will do as I want. That only extends so far, and this company, for better or worse, hasn't proven itself worthy or of throwing myself down into the firing line for such a situation. Why would I want to help you? What a dramatic way of putting things, ugly even, and not even remotely a good reason. That's your opinion on the matter, Miss Barley. My take on it is that it is perfectly reasonable to think this way. She marched around so that she now stood in front of him and blocking the way to the exit out of here. Jess does his best to bite back the annoyed growl in his throat at being cut off from his escape and his way out of here. Perhaps you would like me to keep your secrets, then? And what secrets do you apparently think I have? What am I so eager to keep from the world and someone who works for this company? Your previous job, one that got you in so much trouble with so many people that there's still a whisper about your name to curse you. Don't think it's been forgotten, at least of all in this building. I have nothing to fear about my past, Miss CEO. But your coworkers and anyone else might no longer want to work with you once they hear it, or even out there in the greater job market once they learn about it. That's why you stay here doing small jobs, menial jobs, for whatever pay you can get. Fighting through his frustrations, Jess did his best not to show his disgust or frustration. He landed on a deep frown, which he figured probably wound up showing both of those things. If you feel the need to reveal my past, you are free to do so. I will not be beholden to your games and your attempts to push me into them. Perhaps you want a different tact then, one of rewards? Yes, one of rewards. Just treat your employees better, and the company will flourish. That's all you really ever wanted to know, but you won't accept. And that's why this little task will take its time telling you the exact same thing. A reward for you to do what I want. Does that sound good? It sounds terrible, and like I would owe you. Why would I take that deal when I'm telling you how you just need to treat everyone better? I know that you think that I lost that job because I'm a fool, but I am not that big of a fool. You needed to rescue your reputation now. It's in the dumps, and this will go a little way in doing this, in making that work. This is a little thing for me that would go a long way. A long way to what, Miss Barley? Giving you what you're really after. A new company. Under your leadership. I can make that happen. You would make me a puppet later. That is not what I want either. Your offer has no attraction to me. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to go home, Miss Barley. Consider an offer will remain there, but only for a little while, Mr. Jess. We won't help you if you take too long. Jess moves to step around her and pauses for a moment more, a question forming in his mind as he looks at her. Why? Why do I want you to do the work and claim none of the credit? Yes, exactly that. Why? You know businesses well enough to know that protecting yourself is the number one thing. Having success down low on a project like this shows that the workers are working hard. But not everybody gets what they want. You think the board will buy that?
Jess asked.
They will. They owe me. Good night. He shook his head at her as he stepped out of the lobby. The morning had been going horribly for Lindsay, even though she'd finished her stack of papers and organized what information she'd found. It all looked rather silly and unhelpful in that format, but it was what it was. She scowled at thinking about going back to work and the endless information that didn't help one bit. She'd actually gotten away from all of that office space and into a break room where she might get a coffee or a snack or something that would just take her mind off of her work. Well, looky here who it is. Lindsay, who'd found some comfort in staring at the coffee that she was making, recognized the sound of her former co-worker Diana's voice. She didn't need to look up since that voice was recognizable anywhere and anytime. Yes, look at me standing here with my coffee. A sneer broke out across Diana's face at the comment, which, as Lindsay broke her own promise not to look up, and just called that as it passed by. Oh, look at your smarmy and snarky attitude, same as ever. What did you say? You and your too good for this attitude, it just does not work, Lindsay. You're getting yourself in so much trouble. I don't think I've ever presented an attitude of better than others by anything I've ever done, Diana. Oh, please, that is exactly what I'm talking about. You don't remotely seem to see the possibility and recognize it. That air of, I would never and it doesn't affect me sort of thing. Scrunching her face and studying Diana as best she could, Lindsay wasn't really sure of what to make of this sudden assault on her abilities, ego, and just about everything she'd ever done. She'd never been on the best of terms with this lady, but they'd also simply worked together and ignored one another for the most part. If there was backroom talk, Lindsay was completely unaware of it and didn't participate. So maybe that was the problem. Do you hate me or something, Miss Diana? No, I'm smart enough to know that's a trap sort of statement when I see it. You would go running to HR if I said anything other than no. Lindsay shook her head sadly. I honestly don't care what you think of me, I was just curious. Why ask in the first place, then, Lindsay? Were you scared? And what would I have to be scared of? Oh, take your pick, Lindsay, of the rumors floating about this office. Having not heard any of those, Lindsay shrugs and waits for some sort of better response than that. There's the one where your little department is being laid off, and then there's one that's taking away workers from the secret project, or there's the one where you have an angry boss that wants you fired and is just waiting for you to mess up. None of those sound believable, Diana. You think so? Diana said with a smirk. Yes, I do. Darling Lindsay, you've been around this company for what, 5 years now? 7 years. Why, Diana? I'm pointing out that you don't know how companies work. Rumors are there for a reason. It means something is brewing, and you are now caught in the crosshairs. Why would you even warn me about this if you hate me? I told you, I don't hate you, Lindsay. Hate is such a waste of a thing. I think you're wasting yourself to prove something. What it is, I don't know or do not really care about, but this is merely a warning for you. To watch my back? If you think that would help you, then yes, Lindsay. There are a lot of things lurking around corners that want to snap you out of existence. Enough was enough for Lindsay. This was all silly and out there, and this lady might just be trying to rattle her for whatever reason. This was not a friendly conversation, and she was tired of pretending that it might be. I will make sure that I don't get caught up in the crossfire when that happens, then. Thank you. With her cup of coffee in hand,
Lindsay rushed from the break room.
Bruno decided a late night of work was needed for this project, except he'd purposely had sent his workers home so that he could work in peace. A fine idea, but his boss, Mikhail, had come strolling in a few minutes ago and stood there waiting to be recognized. Bruno kept his head down, reading his papers, hoping to make the man go away. You can't ignore me, and you can't ignore me away. I wasn't doing that. The work here is a pressing matter and needs to be done, and the sooner the better, right? Yes, that is right, Bruno. So then let me get this done. No, I can't. Not without warning you that you're going down the wrong path. That comment made Bruno stop his reading. He looked up at the man who was towering over him, casting a long shadow from the overhead light. And what is that supposed to mean, Mr. Mikhail? The company is going sideways and everyone sees it. Well, I don't. That's because you only see what you want to see. There's a lot going on here, and it's a lot for most people. Eyeing the man carefully, Bruno pushed the paperwork in front of him away. It gave him a moment to think and process this news, though what was he supposed to make of it, and what was he supposed to do with it, and he wasn't sure of anything about it. It did feel like someone was trying to feed him a line to get him to do something, though. So, you wanted me aware of this, and now that I'm aware, good job, now what?
Bruno asked.
No, you know to be careful of all the things the CEO will tell you. Mikhail, first you set me on this work, and now you're telling me to be wary of it? His boss closed in and quickly approached, slapping his hand down onto the meeting room table. The noise reverberated about the space for a minute. The further you go with this operation, the worse it will be for you. You're still speaking in mysteries. I don't like mysteries, Mikhail. I've already told you things are going wrong here. What more do you need me to say? No, you said sideways. That's a different direction from down, and it implies that things are okay-ish. You're picking out what I'm saying and ignoring what I'm telling you. Bruno nodded yes. It was quite true that he was doing exactly that. It was his only choice, he felt, though, since there was a mystery about what exactly was wrong with this company. Right, you do what you do, and I'll try and save the company on my side. Why are you wasting your time on that? I've been asked to. You asked me to. What else would you have me do? This is my job, like it or not. I have a duty to complete this task, and the only one who can change it now is the CEO. A low growl came from Mikhail. You will regret this. I haven't really done anything, so I can't really regret anything. You're picking the wrong sides. I just wish I knew how I managed to do that, but okay. Listen, I'm just here to do the work and give it my very best. All this politics, if that's what you're calling it, ain't my thing. Which is why you're being used by everyone. You can break free of those bonds and make the company great with your talent. Now Bruno felt his ears perk up a bit.
This sounded like it might be more up his alleyway.
I've heard the right idea, though, not just some rambling ones that Mikhail had done. How much say in charge would I get if I helped you out? Quite a bit. Well, that sounds good, so let me think on it. It's late and I should actually get home. Yes, a sound decision to make, and talk it over with your little wifey. But to keep it all quiet, we don't want the whole world knowing our plans yet. Bruno gave a curt nod to Mikhail, who sauntered off towards the door. It was silly and almost comical that his boss thought that he was that simple. There's no way he would be giving control over company's direction. A small slice, maybe, but that would only be if he could prove himself there, and room for a bigger slice of that pie, maybe. But he was no fool that they were just going to hand that sort of thing over to him because he decided to play nice. The end of part 3 of Work, Work, and More Work. Thank you for listening.